Happy Boxing Day, everyone, and I hope you all had a absolutely lovely Christmas. It's this time of year again where we're doing another ALR season review. It is season 6 then, and what has been an absolutely incredible story so far for ALR. We have had Granty, a double world champion. We've had Nigel, who returns back to the fold as well, and Emerson as well. So we've got two former champions on the grid then going into Bahrain. Emerson last season was absolutely magnificent. He had 21 podiums in 22 race starts. He is a double world champion this season. He has a target on his back. I am sat with the incomparable Alex Knowlesy, who unfortunately just did him spin there. So what an introduction there, Alex. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. Had a great Christmas. I want to completely forgot about that spin, obviously being the first race of the season. So yeah, thanks for putting that in. But no, it's been a great season in gold, and like I said, we've got some great highlights to show and talk about today as well. And yeah, absolutely fantastic from all the gold drivers. I think we've had quite a few throughout the season who've absolutely done a fantastic job. Whether they've been getting the wins or just getting the points, it's been great to watch.
I've got a question for you now. It's about Emerson. Of course, he's a double world champion. He was dominant last season. How does your mindset, how is your mindset going into a new season, knowing how incredible you were last season? How do you go about that? Do you just race differently?
I wouldn't know, but not myself from my point of view. But I think from Emerson's point of view, from a champion's point of view anyway, you need to just focus on the next season, on the next race even that's coming up, and forget about what's going on previous seasons. Whether you won or not, you need to just focus on carrying on and keeping it consistent and clean for the upcoming race, the upcoming season. And I think Emerson's done fantastically well, and there's no doubt about it. Double world champion in ALR, and he deserves that hands down. But I think the challenge sort of got brought to him by the other drivers this season as well, which was fantastic to see, really.
And going into this race, we did. Oh goodness me! Someone's got off the circuit there. Oh gosh, it's going a bit violent over there. Going into this season, it was a new game. Then we've had new games in the past. Of course, F1 2020, F1 2021, where the drivers are adapted. Then over the past couple of seasons, we have seen Granty, who won twice, the two championships twice on F1 2019, I think it was, and then Emerson dominated on F1 2020. Having a new game. Oh goodness me! There's a lot of incidents in Bahrain. I must say, Bahrain in the start is fantastic. But going into a new game, how do you prepare yourself? Because it's such a short time then from the new game to be released to the new season.
Yeah, it's difficult. As you can see by my performance in this race, I was struggling. I think it depends. It really changes the driving style that you have to sort of adapt to. And of course, being the first race of the season and so quickly into the release after the release of the new game as well, a lot of drivers hadn't had that time to adapt to a game, and you'll see further on through the season where people kept on sort of being more consistent, and you don't see so many DNFs, that sort of thing as well throughout all the leagues as well, because people had time to then sort of adapt to the game and understand the mechanics of the game as well. But like I said, throwing everybody in, I think it was a week or so after the game got released even, it was fantastic to see, because it sort of creates a bit more spice in terms of the first few races of the season, and it just sort of throws up a few sort of interesting results as well. So yeah, it was it's always difficult when a new game comes out, having to sort of get the setups right, because of course not many people knew exactly how to set up the car immediately. So yeah, it's always going to be a bit difficult at the beginning, but then, like I said, adapting to it throughout the game cycle. And so, like I said, the first season on F1 2021, I think, was a bit of a struggle for some, but I think there's quite a few as well who adapted very quickly and benefited from it coming from 2020 as well.
Indeed, and that just shows how incredible these drivers in the ALR are. I'll say that quickly. Yeah, it was fantastic to watch as well. As Pease is taking a bit of an excursion there. Goodness me, I didn't know Pease liked WRC. Great stuff. Yeah, this is the first race in Bahrain as well, because normally we start in Australia. When it comes to the calendar, we got a shorter calendar this season of only 20 races there, but Danger Times comes out the final corner to win the first race of the season. We'll come back to the calendar in a minute then, because we didn't realise how quick Danger Times was. Fantastic start to the season though for Danger Times. Can you read anything into the opening race of the season there? Danger Times winning by 1.7 seconds. Not the biggest of margins in the world there, but was he your favourite after that one?
I think he's definitely up there. I can't remember who I chose as my favourite in the draw, to be honest. But no, I think there was probably a core bunch of drivers who could all fight for a win in gold. Danger Times being one of them, of course. So I think there was a whole bunch, and it really sort of I think that's what made it more exciting this season as well. It was there was more competitiveness in the grid in terms of the speed of all the drivers at the top level. So it wasn't just sort of the Emersons and the Milan sort of fighting for the wins and that sort of thing. We had a lot more people added to that list that could really take the fight to the other guys as well from last season. So I think Danger Times a fantastic race in the first race of the season, of course. It was not a surprise to see him up there, definitely.
Indeed, and Danger Times leads the championship. That was his first Grand Prix win, believe it or not, of his world champion of his ALR career, which is incredible to me. But remember, that was only his fifth or sixth ever race in ALR. He feels like a seasoned veteran now. We're going to Spain round 2, and oh gosh, that's a horrific accident in the back there. You mentioned it in one of your reviews, Alex, about how difficult the start of this season was there. I was going to touch on the calendar. Of course, we started in Bahrain. Now we're going to Spain round 2. It was a brutal opening couple of races this season.
Yeah, I think again with the new game, sort of throwing that sort of extra sort of difference in as well, sort of adapting to the new game at the same time as having all of these races, all these tracks. It was Bahrain, Spain, then it was sort of Azerbaijan, Monaco, and Canada, sort of all thrown in week by week in the first 5 rounds. And I actually think, in terms of adapting to a new game and then having to race on those 5 tracks, it was probably the most difficult 5 tracks we could have picked. Obviously it happened naturally because that was the calendar order, but it was probably the most difficult 5 tracks we could have picked, purely because of the technical ability that you need to race on them.
Yeah, and I think that this was a massive, massive challenge for the drivers. A massive challenge for me as well, to be honest, because I was hoping to have my feet up for the first couple of races, but my gosh, Sarah, I didn't even have a chance for that. It was action galore. So we're just seeing Murphy and Mr. Elite then having a good old duel. Then Mr. Elite is the 4th most experienced driver in ALR Gold now, and Murphy, who is the most experienced driver in ALR as well. Goodness me, there's a lot of experience in this battle here in the Spanish Grand Prix. Pillars is leading at the moment with Emerson in second and Chazza in third position. We may see this later on in the season review, but how difficult and how annoying must it be then to have, for example, Pillars and Chazza? They're so close together, but Chazza seems more often than not, is that infamous turn 9 there, seems to have claimed another victim. How difficult is it then to always get stuck behind your teammate in the pit lane? Because unfortunately, the Alfa Romeo team were probably one of the best teams on the grid, but they always seem to either impede one or the other.
Yeah, it is frustrating, of course, having to double stack, and especially, for example, when we got something like this where a safety car comes out and you're both so close together and you both want to pit. It does throw up a bit of difficulties, a bit of frustration. I think there's not really any way around it, unfortunately, unless they can. I know they've done a little bit of a tweak to the sort of double stacking in the game, but it's not completely the same as real life yet. Unless they can do something like that, Codemasters, and sort out sort of double stack where we can actually have a more realistic version of that, then it's always going to be the case when you've got 2 really fast drivers in the same team. And like I said, it has sort of impeded one or the other of the Alfa Romeo drivers throughout the season, but it's just something that we've got to deal with, unfortunately, at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's such a shame. And I believe that Alfa Romeo would be so much higher up in the championship as well if they didn't have to double stack all the time. Such a shame for Chaz as well. As Murphy is doing a lovely pirouette there with Milan there. Milan then, I think, I'm not sure if this is on the season review or not. That will be a surprise. But Milan, who I think he's had an okay season. He got the breakthrough Grand Prix win there, but I don't think he finished in the top 10 in the end. And he is one of the quickest drivers on the circuit of ALR. It's how difficult is it to be so good in qualifying and struggle in the race?
I think I'm the other way around, which is helpful for me, actually, I think. But obviously, you've got that 1 lap pace. It's great for you to get that position. Obviously, the key positions, the majority of the time, if you qualify higher up, gives you a better chance of winning. So it is good to have that qualifying pace. You need that qualifying pace if you want to win championships, win races, of course. In terms of the race pace, though, I think consistency is more key. Maybe in terms of setups, Milan's setups are more aggressive, so that way he has developed on that pace, but then in the race it isn't as reliable, and that's where it's let him down, I think, over a couple of races throughout the season. But no doubt he's got the pace to win races, win championships even as well. So hopefully we can see him next season sort of moving on and getting a few more wins under his belt.
And setups is a major key in this Grand Prix, especially because this is very much a car circuit, isn't it? As we got an incredible battle here between I think Emerson and Pisa. Brilliant stuff indeed there. Two old rivals going at it. Absolutely fantastic stuff indeed there. Normally at this stage of the race, Emerson is absolutely flown away into the distance, but this time around definitely not the case either. We've had a lot of safety cars in the Spanish Grand Prix. There's a lot of grumbling from the drivers about the safety cars at the early stage of this game, Alex. And what do you make of that then? Of course, safety cars are meant to neutralise the race then, but however in esports it is more of a strategical element.
Yeah, I think, well, again, like I said, it will definitely affect the strategies for every driver on the grid whenever a safety car comes out. At the beginning of the game, again, we did have a lot more incidents, and I think even in goal we had a lot more incidents, purely because people had not had time to get used to the game and were, for example, spinning off, having incidents on their own, and that was causing safety cars sort of quite a bit more regularly than we usually were used to. But I think, like I said, throughout the season it has changed, and a lot more people have now got more familiar with the game, and now it's sort of coming back to normal sort of thing, if you will, in terms of the sort of the number of safety cars, the number of incidents that we're seeing. And I have to say, like, a lot of the incidents, a lot of the safety cars that were caused at the very beginning of the season throughout all the leagues there wasn't any sort of aggressive driving, or it was just drivers pushing too hard to try and get that result, and it ended up with them causing a safety car, causing a VSC, that sort of thing.
I absolutely love this race. That's why we have you on these reviews, Alex. That is absolutely supreme. Information about the safety cars and stuff. Then, because a general man like myself, I wouldn't even have thought of that. Then I just love it when I see a safety car come out. I also love a good old smash indeed. Then Emerson leads the Grand Prix from German as well. This is kind of a spoiler for later on in the World Championship. I'm loving this action, by the way. This is absolutely supreme stuff indeed. Then we're just going to see, oh goodness me, and pillars going right into the back of Emerson now. I don't like to keep harping on about Emerson in this season, but he was such an incredible measuring stick of last season. He was a bit unlucky to begin with, and you've seen that pillars went right into the back of him at turn 10. Then oh dear, that's a lovely pirouette there from Pisa. They seem to be pinching each other on the on the apex of the corners here. Now, goodness gracious me, he's given more room now. But how difficult is it, Alex, to miss your braking point and go straight into the back of someone? We don't see it that often in the ALR, which I think is absolutely amazing. I know how easy it is because I took out my teammate in Brazil once. But how difficult or not difficult is it to do?
Well, it just shows the talent. Like you said, going back to it, doesn't happen very often in ALR. It just shows the talent of all the drivers throughout the league as well. But it's just something you need to keep that concentration. Obviously, when you're battling, it is very difficult, especially when in that situation where you're battling with 3 or 4 other drivers. It's very difficult to make sure that you're constantly on it at every corner, every apex. And I think Pillars, just a split second lost concentration there, but he owned up to it. Of course, it was a mistake, but there was no foul intent there, of course.
No harm, no foul. Even though there was a bit of harm to Emerson, unfortunately, in that race. But these things happen. There, that's racing at the end of the day. German won the race there, but he did 27 or 28 laps on the hard tires. And I think Alex knows what's coming next. We're going to have to talk about tires, unfortunately, aren't we? It's a tire formula these days. But German with a Grand Prix win after an absolutely supreme fight between himself and Emerson. That race had everything in Spain. It was one of my favourites of the season. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It had strategy calls, it had safety cars, it had incidents, it had talking points as well between Pillars and Emerson, for example. German is stretching out those hard tires as well. It was absolutely supreme stuff then. Alex, how incredible was German's stint there on those hard tires? Because he was fending off drivers on soft tires. He was doing a supreme job. Did you think at that moment that this was going to be a season for German that was really going to elevate himself as a potential world champion?
It certainly showed, especially with I think he had a bit of an unlucky performance in Bahrain in the first race, but then this bouncing back and coming back in Spain with this performance was an absolutely outstanding show. Of course, jumping up the standings by 6 positions there as well, up into second place, and that really, like I said, carried on the battle with Emerson throughout the season as well. And then Ferrari, McLaren sort of trading places there as well in the constructors, of course, with only 2 rounds gone.
And then we go to the other side of the pond. We're in Canada then, and traditional. We seem to have a lot of rain in Canada. Danger Times there is going into turn 1 and 2. Let's talk about the wet weather, shall we, Alex? This was one of your finest races in ALR. Well, it used to be one of your finest races in ALR, but I think that since then you've had 3 fantastic Grand Prix victories. But you was challenging Emerson at the height of his powers when Emerson really came in and really blew the doors off of ALR in a very similar condition Grand Prix. How much do you have to adapt your driving style? Do you have to change the setups as well on these cars?
Oh, 100% yes. I think not so much maybe on the wings these days, on this game anyway, but definitely on ride height and pressures and that sort of thing. Just to make sure your car isn't sort of sliding around all the time, even though it's very difficult, like I said, there we go, to control it in the wet. But yeah, 100% in the wet conditions. And I think actually on this game, it's a bit easier to drive in the wet conditions than it was on previous games. So so it's not so bad, as well, although it is a bit bad there for Lost Souls, I think it was there. But yeah, it's not as difficult to adapt to as it was previously. So yeah, you just need to make sure you've got those tweaks in the setup, and make sure you're not too eager on the throttle, of course. Otherwise, it'll be sending you off into Narnia.
Indeed, and unfortunately, Souls was almost into Narnia. And I think, wasn't this the race where Pease had a superb strategy call? I might be thinking of a different race now, but in this race, then they was all going on to intermediate tires. I again was like, that's too early, surely. How do you know when you go on to the intermediate tires? What do you do? Do you just think about? Do you just feel the control in the car? How do you know?
It's such a fine line because you literally, like I said, it's Formula One. You have to be on the right tyres at the right time, and it is literally guesswork at some stages. It can be the right call or it can be the completely wrong call. Sometimes you don't know. I think in terms of the strategy changes, things like sometimes the drivers get notified by the in-game engineer and things like that. When the DRS is going to be enabled and that sort of thing, those are good indicators, of course. But like I said, even then, sometimes you'll feel it's not really the right conditions or it's not really the right time. But I think, like you said, going back to Pease, he made the absolutely perfect call here in this situation because he carried on those wet tyres and then went straight to the dries.
And that's gone completely different, hasn't it? Goodness me, I'm not sure if we're in the right race, are we? My goodness me, that's gone from completely wet to completely dry. Unfortunately, Milan has taken a bite out of the wall then, and once again, where Milan was in a promising position, he did hit the wall quite hard there as well. As it's such a shame there, because I'm a big fan of Milan. He is so quick on one lap pace there, and this was really going to put a cat amongst the pigeons then for this Grand Prix. Emerson was leading at this moment there, and look on the left-hand side tower there, Alex. Everyone apart from 3 drivers has penalties. Wow, well, I've got to say, that is a lot of drivers then. I take it that this track is quite difficult then to have a clean race.
It's always a difficult track for the penalties, of course, with the chicanes that are so easy to cut. Just a tiny little bit on the entry or even on the exit as well. So as we just saw there with Tango. So yeah, it's always one of those tracks that I think a lot of people groan about the penalties and especially with this being, I think it was the 5th round of the season even as well, still going on about the new game unfortunately, but as we've got a bit of an incident there for Lucas Percy, but only 5 races in, 5 weeks into the new game, you're not going to be absolutely perfect on this game just yet. So a lot of people were getting more penalties because of that as well as sort of adjusting to the setups and things like that as well. So yeah, that's probably where the penalty situation sort of increased, especially around this track anyway.
They were getting very cosy there, wasn't it? Unfortunately, Murphy and Danger Times came to blows there. So the barriers stick out around here. So very much an old school track, is there? As we got both McLarens now really getting onto the case of Cartboy, who was second in the World Championship last season. However, Cartboy did struggle this season because in terms of he finished 9th in the Constructors in the in the Drivers' Championship in the end now. As we got Gurman without a wing now, goodness me. What is your opinion on Cartboy throughout the season then? Because he was the runner-up last season.
Yeah, I think, like I said in the last little bit, there's a lot more drivers who've come in now who are fighting for race wins, and I think that's maybe pushed him down the order a tiny little bit. There's no doubt about Carboy. He's got the consistency still, and like he said, he's still been consistently getting some good points. So for the AlphaTauri team this season as well. So it's just been a case of, I think, the other drivers maybe stepping up a gear and really putting a hand to what he has done last season as well. So yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with his performances, I don't think, and I think. Hopefully, he can carry on his consistent performances in the next season as well.
And I think that was only Emerson's second Grand Prix win this season. He didn't have too many this season. Emerson didn't. Gosh, I'm very anti-Emerson tonight. I know, so you need to give me a slap. But Pillars in that race there, you see he was leaning on the final lap, but penalties really cost him in that Grand Prix. We touched on the penalties as well. Do you think the penalties was too harsh in this season, or do you think that was just about right?
No, I think, like I said, at the beginning, it was just a case of getting used to the new track limits, because it does change per game as well. So it varies. We saw Cartboy there up into the podium places, just a note there. But yeah, in terms of Pillars, I think there was a late safety car, and with the penalties that he'd racked up, it unfortunately just demoted him down the order once everyone crossed the line, which was just a shame for Pillars, because he was doing a great race, and obviously leading the race was can't have been too bad for him. But yeah, you need to make sure that you've got the pace, but you can also minimise those penalties as well, because those penalties will still cost you at the end of the race, whether you're the fastest driver on the grid or not.
And goodness gracious me, look at the gap between Danger Times and Emerson. That was 1/10 of a second. Emerson now leads the World Championship. Williams are now up into third as well as Mercedes dropped down to fourth. And we've got some lovely new fancy graphics there, courtesy of Alex. And yes, we are at the Dutch Grand Prix. So I did give you a spoiler alert from earlier on there, so that's shame on me. Good job I haven't watched the new Spider-Man yet. Then as we're going into turn one, then here in the Dutch Grand Prix, this is one of the newer Grand Prix on the calendar. Alex said, I always love this circuit. I think it's a fantastic circuit. I really enjoyed driving around here. Is it a good race circuit though?
I think it can be. I think it's the third time that ALR have raced it. I think we raced it twice in 2020 on the 2020 game. Sorry. So yeah, I think it can be a good race circuit. I think there's a lot of difficulties that come with it, of course, with it being very narrow and very difficult to overtake. So it has been prone to causing lots of incidents. But yeah, I think there's no reason why you can't make a good race of it and enjoy it as well. I personally myself, I don't enjoy it, so I'll leave that to other drivers to have some fun around Zandvoort.
I enjoy it, but unfortunately I keep crashing. So there we go. Maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment. You see Milan is leading this race as well. They're going out of the banked turn then. We don't have many banked turns on the Grand Prix circuits. And do you have to change your approach into a banked turn? And remember that 2005 in Indianapolis, that was quite infamous there for a banked turn in those tires there. But do you change your approach on on the bank curves turns then, or is it just a bit for show for the fans really? Is there any difference with banked turns and non-banked turns?
I think it really makes it a good spectacle to watch. Obviously, as a spectator and as a fan of F1, it does make it interesting just to see the drivers sort of have to tackle the bank turns and whatnot, especially around here. But no, I think you do need to be a bit more cautious, a bit more careful, because it's much easier to lose control of the car, especially on the exit when you've got the traction. So yeah, you do have to take a lot more care, especially on the final corner around Zandvoort here. You need to make sure that when you're coming around the final corner that you're not spamming the ERS, because it will send you into a spin coming around onto the straight. So yeah, you need to be careful a lot more than if it was just a normal turn, I think.
Ah, no, that's why I spin. Okay, thank you. All right, that was a selfish point of view for me. So, yep, I know what to do now, or not to do. We see that we got a couple of drivers coming to the pits under the virtual safety car. Why would that be, Alex? Why are they coming into the pits under the virtual safety car? Is it just because it's a perfect time? Why are they doing that?
I think it might have worked out for some guys in terms of the strategy as well. Like I said earlier, in Spain, with the safety cars with the VSCs, it really does either it can help or can hinder your race, obviously depending on what tyre you're on at the time. But yeah, I think a lot of people took the opportunity there just to get a fresh set of tyres on and see if they can make it to the end of the race from them.
And we're just seeing that Gamer then, who is just recovering as well. We've had 3 drivers getting promoted from silver to gold this season. Gamer, Troy, and Nigel. Nigel, the former champion of ALR, the first ever champion of ALR. We had Gamer, who finished third in the championship, and Troy, who is the silver champion, and the man who's won the most Grand Prix in a single silver season there. Again, say that quickly. But overall, I was quite impressed with Troy, especially towards the end of the season. He was magnificent. I think Gamer did a great job as well. He was very unlucky in some of the calls or some of the safety cars that really bogged down in terms of his strategy. And I think Nigel did a great job as well. Of course, he's won half of the Constructors World Champions. How are you feeling about the silver drivers that come out this season? I thought they've done pretty well, haven't they?
Yeah, I think a couple of them, I think Nigel and Troy, they did manage to reserve in gold in the final stages of last season as well, so it really sort of set them up, I think, for the upcoming season as well. And both of them, well, all 3 of them, sorry, as well, including Gamer, but unfortunately didn't reserve in season 5. But yeah, all 3 of them done a fantastic job this season, and I know a couple of them have thought, it's going to be really difficult competing with these gold guys, but I think credit to all 3. I think Troy did a really good job in terms of working with his teammate Emerson, and that really promoted him up the positions, as did Troy. And I think he's done the best out of the 3 that come up. But I think there's nobody who can say that Gamer and Nigel did a bad job either. So yeah, fantastic to see them, all 3 of them, coming up from silver into gold and competing really well.
I echo that entirely. That's fantastic. They've all done a really good job. We see the safety car right at the end there as well, and it's really condensed at the field. Notice from Canada to this Grand Prix, only 1 penalty so far. Unfortunately, it's Charlie Scott, who was Chazza, who decided to change his name halfway through the season, and he had a lot of backlash for that, so he's back to Chazza now. Goodness gracious me. I didn't realise that they were so popular now, as we got Lucas Percy, who I want to touch on at Lucas Percy in a bit. But Milan coming out of the final turn, and he was very unlucky in the last 2 races around here in the Dutch Grand Prix, but you could say it was just deserved in this one there, Alex. How happy were you for Milan? Because I must admit, I was overjoyed after last 2 seasons here. He was so unlucky. He was robbed of the 2 Grand Prix wins, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was very happy for him. I think you can see there he was very happy for himself as well, winning his home Grand Prix, which is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I wouldn't know what that's like, but yeah, credit to Milan. Like I said, he has the performance there, and like I said, it was a fantastic race from him, all race in this one, and fully deserved the win. And like I said, we thought this would be the point where Milan could really crack on and get some more wins under his belt as well, and promote himself up the order in the championship as well. But yeah, on this one performance, it was absolutely fantastic. Controlled the race, even though, like I said, there was a few safety cars, a few incidents here and there. He controlled the race all the way throughout.
Unfortunately, in this season review, we've seen the worst and the best of Milan there, because that race, he was superb. He defended against German, Black Box, and Chazza, and Emerson as well, for like 4 or 5 of the best drivers that I've ever witnessed in my career of a commentator. Is absolutely magnificent stuff indeed. Now we go back over to the American side of the world. Then, as Pillars on pole position. Then, and Lucas Percy. Then he was a Grand Prix winner already this season. However, he really started to come into his own. You'll see later on in this review then of how impressed he was then. But out of all the new guys that came into ALR, of course, we've talked about the 3 drivers that got promoted from silver, and you also mentioned earlier on about it's not actually a big gap going from gold to silver. I think that it's just more of a mindset, really, because ALR is such a competitive. Oh dear. Williams had enough of Troy there. Goodness me, that was a bit brutal. But just going back then to the new drivers that have taken part this season. Then, who has been most impressive for you then? I think that Lucas Percy surely has to be up there as well, but I quite like Sloth, but he didn't, for me, I was quite disappointed in Sloth's performance this season.
I think like I said, there's the 3 promoted drivers from silver, but I think there's the other 3 drivers who, Danger Times, Lucas Percy and Sloth, who all came in fresh for the new season. And I think Danger Times, obviously, in terms of the point scoring, I think he's done the best, but I'd say Sloth unfortunately didn't get the results that I think he was probably expecting as well. But he was consistently there. I think Cartboy and Sloth in the AlphaTauri team really were probably the most consistent team in terms of overall the whole season, plugging away, getting those points. So so Sloth did a great job, and then Lucas Percy came in, and he just started getting the wins, and it was fantastic to watch because he got a full-time seat sort of on the latter half of the season, and really just sort of took to it and started getting as many wins as he could get under his belt, and I think he got 3 in total in the end. In the few races that he did, so it was fantastic to have him on the grid for Gold season 6.
Indeed, I'm a big fan of Percy, and I can't wait to see what he does next season as well. I'm also a big fan of Tango as well. Oh, look at that. I love that. Oh, goodness me, as they were getting both squirrely there. Mike, that was heart in the mouth kind of stuff there. Alex, have you ever been in that position there where you've been having a bit of a squirrel with a car on the outside?
Yeah, definitely. I probably wouldn't have been able to save it like that. So yeah, fantastic stuff there. What a save! But I think I would have ended up just if I was in that position, I probably ended up just spinning off and finding a wall nearby somewhere.
Well, at least you got to that position. I would have not even got there. So we're just watching Chaz at the moment there, on board with him, just following Emerson through there. You can see that the dirty air is very much apparent there as well. German took the lead of the United States Grand Prix. In this stage of the season, we've seen this before. It feels like it was history repeating itself there. German was supreme in silver in the mid part of the season there. I can't believe I'm saying USA is the mid part of the season, but the seasons are so long these days, aren't they? Albeit this is the second shortest of ALR. So maybe, there you go, just contradicts myself, and never mind. But German, who at this stage really elevated himself indeed then, and coming to this part of the season review now, it was fairly obvious it was going to be between Emerson and German was in such mighty fine form. Is it all about momentum, Alex, or was it about confidence? It's such a unique thing in sport now where you just get the confidence, or was just German just really good at these circuits?
I think you need both, the momentum and the confidence. I think he himself, he said that he had a bad season last season in gold, which wasn't too bad. I think he finished 5th in the drivers' standings, but really wanted to push on and take the fight to claim the title in season 6. So he really turned himself around. Really, obviously with the new game, I think he took to it quite well. And you can see that in the results throughout the season. German's done a fantastic job in pretty much every race. So yeah, it's been refreshing to have German sort of battling for the wins and sort of showing the other drivers, let's take the fight to the old guard sort of thing.
And he really did indeed. And of course, German has been with ALR for a number of seasons now. He's gone from bronze to silver, became the silver champion, and then went to gold. And he's the first driver in history of ALR to be promoted from silver and to win gold as well. So we've got another safety car towards the end of this Grand Prix. Do you get nervous about safety cars towards the end of the Grand Prix, Alex? Are you like, oh no, or you thinking this is a great opportunity? I suppose it depends on where you're on the field, doesn't it?
It depends, where you're on the field, what the penalty situation is for yourself and for the drivers around you, and obviously if you've got any nice new fresh tyres to put on as well, because that helps. Sometimes it is frustrating, of course, if it's not going your way. It's not going to work out in your favour, of course. But it's just unfortunately part of racing is that you don't know when, but any lap it could be a safety car. So I suppose in a way Codemasters have made it very realistic that way. But it's just making sure that you get your head down and all you can do is cross that finish line at the end and see where you finish.
And I want to talk about Tango for a minute, because Tango was one of the most unluckiest drivers on the grid last season. Because, oh dear, well, talk about unlucky. That was very unlucky there, and I think Emerson was caught up in that as well. Which we'll come back to Tango in a minute. Then, as we just want to talk about Emerson. I'm not. Is it right in me saying that at round 16 out of 20, this was the beginning and the end for Emerson's title defence, Alex?
No, I think he was going to be there until the very end, and I think he was going to try and fight for wins and for points at any stage, whether he was right at the top or not. But I think credit to the sort of character and somebody who's just going to carry on and keep fighting for whatever point it is. Even if he had a bad race, Emerson would still carry on and at least try and get to the end and try and get at least a couple of points, just to help him in the standings overall throughout the season. So, it just shows that you've got to have that ability and that mindset still Even if you're being beaten, if you're the one who's second in the championship and you're not, and the guy ahead of you is winning the races, then you've got to be there, and you've got to be there to be there, capitalise when something goes wrong for them. So yeah, I don't think it's fair to say it was this is where it went wrong for him. I think it was just an unfortunate race for him, this one. But like I said, that's happened for Gurman as well this season as well. So it can happen to anyone.
It definitely can indeed then. And Gurman there, of course, is on a cracking fight with Percy. I really enjoyed this. I remember just being, I stood up, I think, jumping in my room commentating on this, which is a bit sad, really, isn't it? But there you go. Absolutely fantastic. It really was indeed then. Gurman there, who I think he only got one DNF in the whole season. Maybe I'm wrong about it. I think it was Australia where he got his one and only DNF. It just shows the caliber of the man that Gurman was. He seems to adapt and improvise. He's maybe our own Mick Schumacher, isn't he? Where Gurman's second season seems to be where he elevates himself then. So maybe Mick Schumacher fans looking forward to next season in the Haas car for him then. But anyway, back to ALR. As Gurman there won the United States Grand Prix of Percy in second. Murphy in third position now. Murphy has completed 106 Grand Prix for ALR in gold now, and he has been, goodness me, he's been all over the block, hasn't he? Dan Murphy has there. He's been here since the get-go. He's been a very committed driver, hasn't he? Murphy has there. He does a lot of overtaking as well. What's your opinion on Murphy this season? He's been in the top 10 almost all the way through the season.
Yeah, like I said, consistent point scorer and a consistent racer, so he's always going to be there or thereabouts. And I think, like I said, there's a few races where he could have even done better than the podium sort of finishes that he got. He could have potentially got a couple of wins here as well this season. So yeah, it's just fantastic to have him on the grid, and yeah, it's a pleasure to watch. Pleasure to watch the races. Really, he's done a fantastic job in the Red Bull, of course, and yeah, it's been a sort of, well, another sort of stellar season, another sort of normal season, I suppose you could say, for Dan, where he's been consistently in the points, and like I said, in terms of consistency, I don't think there's many people better than Dan Murphy. So.
No, and even when he has, yeah, as you mentioned, this season as well, because I think he's done superb. But when you compare it to the other seasons, he's just always there. He's really Mr. Consistent, isn't he? You could call him Ronaldo then. Why is he so consistent? Gurman took the lead then by 35 championship points after the United States Grand Prix. It was looking very tough for Emerson. In the Constructors Championship, the only move for is Red Bull moving up in front of the AlphaTauri team. We got an emotional moment now as Sir Frank Williams, unfortunately, left us, didn't he, just before the Mexican Grand Prix, which was quite a sad moment, really. As well, I say really, it was a very sad moment, to be honest. We've lost Murray Walker and Frank Williams, and that's two of that's basically your childhood gone as well as we go to Mexico. Danger Times on pole position then for this Mexican Grand Prix. It's a long drag down into turn one there. I think I was saying in qualifying that maybe it was a hindrance to be on pole position here, but Danger Times certainly didn't seem to think so, as he was in turn one straight from the get-go. Alex, in terms of qualifying there, on a track like Mexico, are you concerned about getting on pole position with the long drag down to turn one like Mexico and Russia, or are you not too worried by that at the time?
I would be, personally. I think yeah, it's probably better to be P2 or P3 even into turn one around Mexico. As we sort of see in real life, it sort of benefits the drivers with the slipstream behind, because obviously you've got such a long straight to before you get to turn one to make an overtake back and gain that position. So yeah, it's difficult, I think, in terms of dealing with that. But of course, you don't really have much say in it, because in qualifying 3, you've got to do the fastest time you can, and whether that puts you on pole or puts you P10, you don't know. So you just got to do the best you can and start from where you put yourself on the grid. So and I think trying to calculate and then put yourself P3 in Mexico on the grid in Q3, especially with this grid, with the fantastic drivers we got, would be absolutely impossible to do. So yeah, Danger Time's done a great job off that start, and I think, like I said, he benefited from it in starting on the softs as well.
As we just seen, Welshman Nada just spinning around there is I good be honest, I thought that was William to be fair, so I don't know where I was going with that one. I was going to mention about William there is unfortunately William is the first driver in gold to not finish in the top 10 of any race as a full-time driver. Unfortunately, he did get 2 points to his name though, but William really struggled this season. He didn't struggle with the pace, I don't think, but he did struggle, I think, with that C word, consistency, which we was talking about with Murphy after the United States Grand Prix. Alex, I don't like to remind you back to some of the difficult days of your Grand Prix careers. I don't think you've had many of them, to be honest. But how difficult is it when you're on a bit of a downward spiral in Grand Prix racing? How difficult is it to pick yourself up?
It is difficult, of course. 100% it's difficult in any aspect. So you just need to refocus, sort of thing. And I think especially in terms of the Formula One sort of league racing and things like that, you just need to make sure that you keep practicing, keep consistent, and sort of it will turn around in the long term. I think Willem, like I said, has got the pace 100%, and I think the 2 points that he did get this season was 2 fastest laps, which shows that he's got the pace as well. So he just needs to focus on making sure he gets to that finish line, and that's been the issue for Willem, unfortunately. But there's no doubt he's got the driver, he's got the ability, he's got the pace to be a good driver. It's just been the sort of unluckiness, I suppose, in some of the races that he's had this season. So hopefully next season he can turn that around and crack on and get back up into the podium positions, get some wins.
Yeah, and back up to where he belongs as well, because William, remember, on his debut in ALR, he was on pole position there. I remember that quite well. Just stepped into ALR and got pole position straight from the get-go. It's absolutely fantastic. Here in Mexico, it's kind of back to the future, because you may notice on the left-hand side tower, we've got a couple of returnees. We've got Clarkey, a 2-time Grand Prix winner, coming in as a reserve at the back end of the season. We've also got Young Lights as well, who is a Grand Prix winner. And I think he was the first driver to beat the very fast Cookie in the straight fight, to be honest, which speaks volumes. And that was back at the Dutch Grand Prix of season 5. That does speak volumes of Lights' talents there. It's really good to see drivers come back back into the league, isn't it, Alex? It's quite it feels quite nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we want to be a league which keeps its drivers. And I know obviously some people say, well, you can't. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be races where people unfortunately are unhappy with the league or something bad happens. But we want to work with all the drivers to make sure that everyone's happy. And like I said, keeping as many drivers as we can. And it's really good to see, like I said, returning drivers for Clarkey and Lights. Both in the Aston Martin, funnily enough, on this race. But good to see them back, and of course both 2 very quick drivers as well. So yeah, they really will be really compete very well with the gold drivers, no doubt, who are already on the grid. But like I said, just making sure everyone's happy. I know it's going to be difficult because it is league racing and you can't have a good race every race, but it's just something that we want to work together with. And like I said, the admins, I think, especially Farf in gold this season, done a great job of making sure everybody's on the same page and sort of ticking over nicely. So yeah, I think Farf's done a great job in terms of looking after everybody, and the drivers have done a great job of sort of working together as well and making it a fantastic league.
Indeed, I echo that. Indeed, Farf's been absolutely superb since being an admin in gold, since being an admin in the ALR full stop. He's come in and he's been so flexible. He's helped us out when we need help out as well. He's our own Kimi Raikkonen. He doesn't speak much. If anyone's ever heard his podium interviews, I've got to say, I think I now know what reporters feel like when they have to talk to Kimi Raikkonen. Good gosh, said it is very difficult indeed. Then, but yeah, good stuff indeed there for Farf. And he hasn't upset many people today this year, has he, Farf? Which is quite impressive. We have got just on board with Liam, and I want to touch on Liam, as well. Liam, then, of course, to a veteran of ALR. I say a veteran of ALR Gold, and it's only his second season in ALR Gold. Goodness gracious me! But he feels like he's been here forever. Liam has said he does seem to like the circuits that he seems to be good at. He seems to like, and then there's other circuits he has a bogey circuits. Then, is there circuits for you, Alex? There you're like, oh gosh, I don't want to race at this one. There's circuits like, yes, I'm ready for this one. I can get the Grand Prix win.
I could tell you the one I don't like is Zandvoort, and the one that I do like is Azerbaijan. And I don't know what that says about me, but there we go.
I gotta be honest. I'm not. I think like in Baku, you're glutton for punishment. Good gosh, I really don't like that circuit. But that's because I'm not very good at it, probably because the walls are too close. And you're also a mighty fine race driver as well. There, as of course, I'll be a nice Alex because I want my Galaxy bar. Just going down to the mini part of the stadium as well. We got a great battle between Sloth and Lightsetters. It was getting very cozy there into this S as well. And of course, Mexico returning to the calendar after a hiatus of since 92 to 2015 when it returned. Oh gosh, he's off. We also got to talk about Dynamo Dan as well. I'm a fan of Dynamo Dan, as I thought he retired then. I was like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. But I'm a big fan of Dynamo Dan. He does such a good job indeed that maybe his qualifying performances, he's more often not knocked out of qualifying one. But race trim, he's been quite good then. He just masters the strategy so well, Dynamo Dan does. He's not the quickest driver in the league, but my goodness me, I think he's one of the smartest.
Yeah, I think unfortunately he couldn't. He was in the relegation zone last season, but he couldn't move down. So we said, well, let's give him another season. We had a chat with him, and he was like, yes, I want to go. I want to keep trying and plugging away in gold as well. So you need that motivation as well, I think. And yeah, Dynamo Dan being a fantastic guy to have a chat with and to watch race as well. Because like I said, he does make mistakes, of course, but he has been very consistent in the races as well. As someone's gone massively flying off there, it looked like. Yeah, so I think credit to Dynamo Dan. He's been plugging away, and like I said, he's like you said as well. He's not the fastest, but he's still been able to get some good points in gold as well, and been there when he needs to be there as well. So it's been really good to have him in the league still as well. So fantastic stuff.
Well, these two are getting very cosy as Nigel and Milad there getting involved in some fisticuffs there. Nigel, of course, the former champion of ALR. He's been pretty. I think he's been very good. So the longer he's been in gold this season, the better he's got, and he's been an important part of McLaren's Constructors Championship campaign this season. Absolutely mega 17 and having two champions of McLaren now. That's really history in the making as well. Also, we had Troy and Emerson, the gold champion, partnered up with the silver champion as well. As a competitor, Alex, do you get concerned by people's statuses in Grand Prix racing? Do you like, oh gosh, Ferrari going to be like the Constructors champions easily with that driver lineup? Or do you like, or for example, you see Dan Murphy there, oh, he's such a good race car driver that he's going to get past me by the end of the race. Do you think like that, or can't you think like that being a competitor?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you have to focus on your own race, and I think a lot of people do actually. They do worry about the other drivers or what's going on, or worry about the strategies and things like that. There's some of the stuff in this race or in league racing in total, in actual racing, is out of your control. So you've just got to run your own race, focus on what you can do best, and that's controlling your car rather than anybody else's. So you need to make sure that you can do the best for yourself rather than worrying about what everybody else can do. So long as you keep it on the track, keep it clean and consistent, you'll be the one to get the results and get the good points. So even if you're not the fastest driver, it will come to you. So it's just making sure you sort of keep that mindset as well and really focus on your own race.
And then Danger Times come across the line entered. That was the second Grand Prix win of his career for Danger Times. He done a superb job. But once again, look at the gaps. This season, I mentioned it earlier on, about a tenth of a second separate the Grand Prix winner and second place. Again, in this race as well, it was Danger Times against Gurman, 3/10 of a second. Gurman had no penalties. That has been one of his best attributes this season, along with Emerson as well. And I think that's why those two have been top of the championship as well. Just the lack of penalties on days like this that's really got them at the championship. Troy was halfway through his renaissance, and because he went through 9-10 races without getting a point. Now Troy did them, which a man of his talent should knew he needed to pick up the game. And goodness me, didn't he do it towards the end as well? Then as we take a look at the final classification for the Mexican Grand Prix. Also, a shout out to Coward, and he avoided the relegation just there as himself and Mr. Elite then had a very difficult season. Mr. Elite was a former, I think he finished third in the World Championship, didn't he, in season 4 then, on that superb season for the Renault team, where Emerson won and Mr. Elite came third in the championship. But Mr. Elite there, struggling a bit in the Alpine this season. There, German stretched his lead to 41 points and was on the cusp of history in the next round, which is, I think it was the Brazilian Grand Prix, wasn't it? There, if my memory serves me right then. And but now we do go on to Abu Dhabi, and at the final race of the season, German did take the World Championship, didn't he, at the Brazilian Grand Prix in a fine style indeed then. But just to round it off then, if we can, Alex, we've got 10 minutes then as we take a look at the highlights then from Abu Dhabi. How is your opinion of the season been then overall for you? Who has most impressed you then? Of course, German being the champion, as Nigel, very impressive reversing skills there, fantastic. But who's impressed you then? Who do you think needed to pick up their game a bit more then, as harsh as that sounds?
I think it's been, first off, I think it's been the best season of ALR Gold ever. It's been much more interesting to watch. I think a lot more people have been taking note of these guys, because it's been really close racing, even closer racing, and really competitive racing as well. And it's been an absolute pleasure to watch, I think, for myself, and racing every now and then as well, like you see today. But yeah, I think a credit to all the guys, everybody who's raced in gold this season has helped put on the most fantastic gold season that we've ever had. So yeah, it's been improving sort of season on season, and I think this has topped it easily from the previous ones as well. So yeah, credit to all the guys who've taken part. Like I said, the driver that I think obviously deserves the credit and deserves the applause is German. Hands down, he's improved massively from last season, and he's really taken the fight to Emerson, and he's really turned it around from the sort of disappointing season that he said he had last season as well. So yeah, hands down, he deserves it. And I'm not going to fall into your trap, and I'm not going to say anybody needs to pick their game up, because I think, like I said, there's drivers who've had disappointing races, but I think everybody's had that throughout the season at some stage, and I think everyone's done a fantastic job. So yeah, obviously there's drives and there's races that you need to improve on, and that's the same for everybody. Nobody's perfect. So yeah, so it's been absolute credit to all the guys who've taken part. And let's have a look at this free man overtake.
Yeah, goodness me. It was quite crazy at Abu Dhabi, really, because we did have the Constructors Championship online between Ferrari and McLaren. It's a flashback to the late 90s, early 2000s. I absolutely love this final race as well. As German Emerson were in the midfield, really, and Lucas Percy, who we talked about earlier on. This was a race there. He won the Australian Grand Prix. It was a very frantic Grand Prix in Australia. And then here, I think he just dominated the Grand Prix. Unfortunately, Nigel having a miserable race today. But this race, a completely different race, and he just dominated. Absolutely superb stuff indeed there. I must say, Alex, that's quite scary, where a driver can do some amazing overtakes and then and then next week just absolutely dominate the race there. That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good to see, and like I said, I think there's a lot of drivers capable of doing it, and Lucas Percy being one of them, of course. But yeah, he's been an outstanding driver since he came in, and I think has really helped sort of again with sort of bringing the league closer together in terms of the pace throughout the grid. So yeah, he's no doubt hopefully looking for some more wins next season as well.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if he's eyeing up German's championship as well. I certainly would be if I was Percy. However, I'm not Percy, and maybe and I wish I was, though. I would love to have won a Grand Prix or two in ALR. Well, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Lights leading this Grand Prix at the moment. There is we got all kinds of strategy courses going on at the moment. And let's talk about one driver who's been a part of ALR since season 1. There is the British Italian driver Jonathan Cox. There, he's struggled in the new team Aston Martin over the course of the season, but like today, he had a pole position, not in Abu Dhabi, of course, but he had a pole position this season. And then there's races where Jonathan is really on fire, and today, and this race was one of them. But the safety car cruelly robbed Jonathan a potential podium, maybe even better than that. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think he's been unlucky in a few races this season where he could have been a lot higher up in the points. I think it was Belgium where he did a really good job and worked with his teammate X Gamer to bring home some great points for Aston Martin. So it is his abilities there definitely in terms of the racecraft and things like that. It's just making sure that he can get those points and keep bringing the car home, because it's been a few DNFs for him, I think, this season as well. So, which is unfortunate. So hopefully we can see a better performance from John sort of next season. I think adapting to the new game was a bit more difficult for him. So potentially next season, when he's had a bit more time to get used to it, then we'll see what he can do in the new season.
Who else are you looking out for next season then, in terms of, do you think that there's going to be some drivers in the second season of on this F1 2021 game? Who are you thinking it's going to really be grabbing the ball by the horns then, figuratively, because we're not sure who's in what car yet, but who do you think is going to be German's biggest challenger for next season?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Lucas Percy having a full-time seat for the whole season. I think he can definitely improve on what he managed to achieve in the few races that he did this season as well. So we're good to have him in a full-time seat. Sorry. And I think the other person I was going to say is surprisingly is Mr. Elite. Actually, I think he had a good season a couple of seasons ago, like you said. But I think next season he will be I think probably maybe not so competitive in qualifying, but maybe better off in the races. I think so. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do next season.
Mr. Elite and Cartboy, I think, are cut from the same cloth, I would say, because they are both, no disrespect, they're both not the best in terms of qualifying trim and won that pace, but my goodness me, both of them in the races, just so good with strategy calls, so good with the race pace, and they really are impressive indeed. And Cartboy and Mr. Elite are both finished in the top three of ALR Gold Championship in their careers as well, which speaks volumes, doesn't it, really? It just shows how impressive they are indeed. We got you, Alex, having a bit of wheel banging going on with the Aston Martin there. I bet you enjoyed that on the final race of ALR.
I'd have to say we didn't touch at all, but yeah, it was good. It was good fun to actually to join in this one because, like I said, it was the last race of the season, last race for ALR Gold as well. So no, it was a pleasure to sort of to mix it with the Gold guys and have a good race as well. And I think. Yeah, it was good fun there, battling German and John together. We had a good little fight throughout the race, I think.
And there you go. That's why I'm not a racer driver there. I was thinking that you were touching wheels, but Alex, John, and German knew exactly what they were doing. And they were just defending as hard as they can. And why wouldn't they be? And because of course they were fighting for a good position in Abu Dhabi. Then as the safety cars out, then of course the beautiful Aston Martin safety car. As we now have John, who I think that John there, the safety car really hurt John, and he was getting attacked left, right, and centre here as Percy has just wandered off into the distance once again. Then and it just really in fabulous form there tonight was Lucas Percy. Lights there, looking forward to seeing what Young Lights could do next season as well on his return to ALR in a full-time capacity, or hyperdrive, we should say, next season there. A new venture going into next season, and of course ALR is transforming into hyperdrive. But one final thought from you, Alex, then next season it's a new venture for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting, and I think it's going to be great to have the racing every night of the week, really, and have the Gold Grid sort of merging with the PBE sort of Champions League. So it will be a really fast, competitive league on the Sunday nights next season. And be fantastic to watch, I think. So it's going to be another step forward again from Gold Season 6, hopefully. So yeah, it's an exciting venture. And looking forward to sort of bringing a bit more sort of a bit more interest, a bit more fun to league racing next season as well, and really sort of taking it to the max, really. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Alex. You've been superb as always, and of course, making sure that I am managing myself through these season reviews as well. Of course, it's also confirmed in this race that it's German and Nigel were the Constructors World Champions there. Of course, it was great to see Nigel and German as a team, wasn't it? Emerson tried his best, but unfortunately to no avail as well there. But I remember Sirius Russian was concerned about Emerson's pace in that race, but once again, Emerson showed that he had a clean pair of heels, along with German and Nosey and Milan as well. So looking very good indeed. Then Lucas Percy won that Grand Prix towards the end. And also a shout out to Cowie as well. Cowie finished 7th in this race in the end there. Of course, there's a bit of a glitch with his transponder in this one there, but he did finish 7th in the end there. Cowie just about avoided the relegation zone, didn't he, by 2 or 3 points there. But we've seen the best of Cowie in the last couple of races there, so he really became in fine form as well. We've got some exciting new drivers going in hyperdrive for next season as well. Looking forward to seeing how they progress as as how they progress as well. Of course, as we'll be in season 7. Then, of course, it's a new brand, it's a new era. Hyperdrive is there. Looking forward to it as well. Of course, as Division 1 will be on Sunday, Division 7 will be on Monday as well. Then, and of course, right across the week, as Alex says, goodness gracious me, there's going to be so much action. And final classification, then German champion Emerson second and Chaz in third position there. Milan there moving up 3 positions. Up next is the awards there. Thank you very much.
As Tango there is not getting there, they almost lock wheels there, and Milan in pillars also fight as well, as the two Haas cars are very much under attack, and Tango going up the inside of Black Box as he's forced it wide, and Milan is down with a second, but it says the two Haas cars doing a superb job there. Danger Time said comes out of the final turn there, and it wins his first Grand away. Amazing stuff there from Tango on the outside. Absolutely incredible. Oh my word then.